We'll try that again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is P plus U, number 80. 80 of these bad boys we've done. So very excited to be here. Very excited to talk about crafting today. I have to say that I'm not typically a crafter, but there were some nuggets that I pulled out of this stream. So very excited about that. What about you, Mr. Nathan Napalm?
Yeah, man, I gotta say, everybody knows I'm not a big gatherer crafter kind of guy, but this was a fun, enjoyable stream, and I do like chopping wood, so we got a little bit of that coming soon, so I am actually excited about that.
Very cool. Mr. Therek?
Yeah, it was exciting. I mean, I'm kind of the same. I'm a very casual crafter and gatherer, but I do enjoy it. But I think what was most exciting about this is digging into the social aspects of gathering and crafting, because games just haven't done that. Like Vanguard did it a little bit, but I'm excited to see where VR is taking this way of doing crafting, because I don't think it's been fully, to use a bad pun here, but it hasn't been mined to its fullest extent, right? Like social gathering, social crafting. I think that's awesome.
They call it a mine.
But it's not just mine, it's everyone's.
All right, well, I do have a few things to discuss. Number one, like, Therek, you know me. Sometimes I may or may not look for loopholes in a game to further my own advantages.
May or may not? No, there's no may not. There's only may.
And the moment I see that one of the disadvantages for a crafting ability is take damage, all I can think about is I'm going to have a healer box.
This might be...
It's gonna be sitting there following me around everywhere I go, healing me as I do my gathering.
This might be the first MMO where gatherers bring healers. Like, that may be the meta, guys, I think. Because then you can just 10x all day long, just have the healer keeping you alive,
Yeah.
Well, that's not what you said when we were watching the stream. Let's be honest. You said, Therek, I need you to follow me around stuff. And I was like, dude, I got better things to do than heal you so you can, I guess we can work out a profit sharing deal of some sort, but
I'll give you like at least 3%. It's gonna be a great deal for you.
3%.
3%.
This is the number you jumped to first, is 3%. Wow.
It's negotiable. Right. We can talk.
I'm a DPS class, so you need my crit hits on these mines, or you're gonna be sitting there all day. I'm not there to heal you. I'm there to get the mine out quicker.
Dude, I'm gonna start mining that thing, and I'm going to cook a pizza, and then I'll be back. Because that took a while. Second thing, I'm a little miffed. I'm a little upset. I don't understand how crafters can crit, but wizards cannot. Like, what kind of nonsense is this? Everybody gets criticals except for wizards. This is not acceptable in any. It's not acceptable.
Yeah, when the guy who just picked up an axe before he started recording gets a crit on his mine, and the wizard who spent his whole life in the library reading up on the magical truths that he needed to have, still can't crit. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm with Draq. I'm with Draq. Wizards, we got to bring back that crit magic. We got to, guys. I'm sorry. It was a great thought process. A for effort. Let's bring them back. We need those wizard crits.
I don't know do I need to start some kind of pledge drive? I don't know what I got to do, but let's make this thing happen. What am I on? Oh, I'm on number 3. Number 3, we found out Nefel is a wizard. We found that out tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed that. The last thing we found out is that Draq's gathering emporium of apples and other things from Wild's End will be starting very soon after the game launches. Because when you say you have unique items in every area for that you can adventure to get, what that means to me is that you have exploitable items in every area that you can sell.
Yes, but what I liked what they said about this was that the dangerous areas, that's where the good stuff's going to be. Like you got to get to the dangerous areas. We actually in like to bring it back to the last dev stream, I think, or maybe the one before, they showed like that concept art from the Rones. Do you remember those gigantic flowers? And there was like the notes. A lot of them said that they were harvestable, like they were items that were sought after by crafters of some sort, implied that they were cooks, used in some sort of crafting recipes. That's what they were talking about there. And I think it's cool that we saw some of that in just like last month or in the concept art not too long ago. So you want that good stuff, you better go to the dangerous areas,
Yeah, and I want to say something too. I really, this is just that kind of nerdy stuff that I really enjoyed. This would make me get into gathering just for this little detail. I like it when, okay, so if you're out gathering, right, it's a lot of ore, a lot of wood, whatever it may be, and it's heavy. You can only carry so much. I love it, love it when you can get like a donkey or a mule and it's got a card on it or something, right? And you got to use that. And imagine in this game where, let's say you're Draq, and so you're gathering up 10,000 apples and you're going to go over to the halfling world where they don't got apples, so you can make a bunch of money. You got your cart, you can put it on your boat, you go over, you sell over to where you need to go, where you can sell these apples in large quantities. I so hope that we get something like that in Pantheon, because it's so much fun to load up your cart to the brim with something that you gathered, spend all day, and then go sell it.
Cart pony.
I was just going to say, I can confirm Draq has a cart pony in another game we are currently playing at the moment.
In Lotro.
His name is Clyde. His name is Clyde.
If it wasn't for Clyde, we could not have gotten through that raid. Through those two bosses.
Clyde won that raid for us. Yeah.
All right, Therek, what did you think?
I mean, I think it was just a fun stream. I really liked it. One of the things, and I know Desrin just noticed this, but I think Neff had the Vanguard. Neff's always had the Vanguard, vibes, because I know he's a big fan of Vanguard, and I noticed his background. So I quickly went and pulled up a Vanguard background for my background here, because I think that the most crafting I ever did in an MMO was in Vanguard. I actually built a boat. Like, it's crazy, and this makes me want to do that again, and I've never had that urge to go that deep into crafting. It just looks like a lot of fun. I mean, it's hard not to see the Breath of the Wild influence in that cooking UI. I thought the cooking UI was really good. I liked how that looked. Now, I was disappointed, and Nathan, we joked about this, that you saw the output of your cooking at the time, and I'm like, oh, thank God. And they're like, no, that's just a demo for the stream. I'm like, come on. I gotta do the Breath of the Wild, like remembering what combinations create what.
No, you gotta have the notebook, man. Don't you remember? You have the spiral notebook that you flip through on.
Yeah, and Nefel did say that they have a cooking journal. I did pick up on that. He said there will be an in-game cooking journal of some sort to keep track of that stuff. So I'm grateful for that, because
I'm sorry,
could have used that.
Steve Clover just dropped a little thing there. You said I had to code all the boat stuff for Vanguard. So now we know.
Steve.
Hey! Dude, he's on Team Pantheon now, so you know.
I was sailing the seas due to your hard work, my friend. That's awesome.
Nefel confers ships in game, no take backs.
We are such big fans of you, Steve Clover. We love you. Yes. We freaking love you, dude.
Yep. Yeah, impressive stuff. But and I mean, overall, just a fun stream. I like that there was some humor in there. I mean, Savanya stealing Minus's ore made me laugh, which actually made me wonder, like, what's the deal, like, with group harvesting? Like, are we going to be rolling for the ore? Like, is it like need before greed when it comes to your harvesting, loot?
I'll be ninja that ore right out from under you there. I'm going to hit it one time right at the end and just hit the loot button.
You're ruining your own reputation right here at this moment, Draq. Nobody is going to with you for crafting.
I don't think anybody was going to trust me before this stream either. So
you're going to have a hard time getting that healer to come help you gather.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what the box is for.
Remember they just talked about this on, what was it, the last thing they talked about, like your Pantheon Plus profile, like they really want to get details about your character. Drax is going to be like steals all loot from all characters in all crafting circumstances.
Oh, all right.
Draq is the reason you can't afford an apple.
It's true. Don't let me.
I
Don't
haven't
let
had
me
an
get
apple in
started.
6 years because of Draq.
All right. Well, luckily for us and for the community,
Yeah, we got to get some other people
this
in
show
here.
is not just about us and what we think. This show is about what the Pantheon community thinks. And so I'm going to hit the little Discord button here, and it's also pinned at the top. Thanks to Desrin. We'd love for you
Nice job.
to join our Discord and hop in what we call the Green Room. And the Green Room is where Therek will pull you up in to have a conversation with us on Discord, and we'll discuss what you thought about the dev stream and what you think about Pantheon crafting. And we would love to hear from you. And we have several devs in chat that, we have Nefel and Steve Clover, the two people that have been working on all the crafting. So I'm sure they would also love to hear your feedback as well. So start joining the Discord, and we'll have Therek pull somebody up.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go down the list from the top to bottom. But we're going to start with Sarah, our friend and Pantheon Plus cohort. So let's see what Sarah thought of this stream. Hi, Sarah. How's it going?
Hey guys.
Hey.
Woo.
I saw you were in chat there. You were talking it up, chatting during the stream. What were you thinking?
No shenanigans happened tonight. Blah.
Yeah,
No English
no.
either.
Not yet, anyway. Not yet.
Well, I have to ask before you get started, Sarah, because it's going to bother me and I won't be able to concentrate. Does Essen have his shirt on or off? I just have to know.
I don't even know. He sits in a completely different room. He could be
Oh.
Yeah.
in the nude for all I know. But anyway, let's move on. Bring out
HR.
The HR. Yeah, so that was exciting. Neff dropping all the beans. I was here for the beans. I needed a second dinner. Thank you. Yeah, that was a fun one. I always enjoy crafting in games. I feel like it just really rounds it out, like if you have like a great combat system but you don't have a great crafting system, it can still kind of ruin the game or ruin the immersion or whatever. So I'm excited that they're putting the time and the effort into this now before the game launches, and that it's going to be an excellent system that everybody's going to be exciting, and not just like working well, but they have a lot of fresh ideas too. I've never seen group crafting before, so yeah, I'm really excited. Can't wait to try it out.
One of the things that I thought of when they were talking about that is, like, imagine you're with your group and you're in a dungeon and you're camping a spot, you're just got a good rhythm going or whatever, but there's like nodes just close by, right? Like if you're a crafter or gatherer at least, and you have some downtime, like let's say it's a busy dungeon, there's other groups, you're sort of like the spawns are a little bit, slower than they could be. You got something to do, right? You got something to run around and do. And even if you're not the crafter, you're in the group, that group crafting, group harvesting comes into play, right? So it involves everybody. So you only need like one or two people who are like actively maybe more into it than others, but you still get the group benefits of it. I think that really is a neat way of, because people worry about, they say, in EverQuest there was too much downtime, or there's, what are we doing? We're just sitting around. It's so slow. It's like, this is one of those ways I think that modernizes that. It's not a problem, but the expectation of constant action in your MMOs these days, where sitting around and just having downtime is kind of like, there's a stigma around it. There's like a negative sort of aspect to it that people think, but this sort of remedies that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that people complain about, right? Is like the people who are familiar with old school MMOs, or at least have heard about them, they're like, why would you want to bring back like such a slow pace? Like they like the action of the modern MMOs, but if it sounds like VR is trying to balance that feel of like the classic MMOs and the challenge that those brought, and the social aspect, the communication, the coordination you had to do, but also give us things to do so that we aren't like, because I remember in EverQuest, if you couldn't find a group, you were kind of SOL a lot. So that was the one part about it that I didn't like. And I was like, you accept that because that's just the way it is, and you are enjoying it so much anyway, that's just like kind of the part you have to take. But if they are able to balance that out a little bit better, I think that would definitely help keep the game fresh and keep people interested in playing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with that.
It's like another addiction, you know what I mean? Layered in there, where maybe you don't do crafting, right? Or gathering, I'm sorry. Maybe you don't do gathering, because you're like most people and you're very adventure driven for your MMO. But because you're in a group, you have a couple crafters in there. Now you're doing group crafting. Now you try it, and then you're like, hey, that's kind of fun. Now I kind of want to go do that. And then you end up doing a little bit solo, and you kind of look forward to doing it with your group. It's just a lot of times with things in MMOs, you just don't like them because you don't normally do them. And the group aspect sometimes can push you into doing things you didn't know that you liked.
Or you could have Des in your group and you're trying to go somewhere and do something, and every 5 seconds you got to stop at a mining note because he can't possibly pass it up.
I always break for flowers.
Oh gosh. Oh, man. Yeah.
It's like strangely addictive. I don't know. Like my bags are full of crap that I don't even know if I'm going to use. But I picked it all up. Don't worry about it.
Oh boy. Oh man. It's gonna take forever to get anywhere with you.
No way.
Constant stops.
My group's not stopping.
Yeah.
Just let it be known.
We're doing it together. We'll just pick all the flowers.
Picking flowers together.
If you want to gather flowers when we are at our camp spot, go for it. But we're moving from place to place. No. Cracking the whip.
Nefella's in chat. Can I make a request that you make the group assistance distance very, very long so I can just keep running while my group is stopped and picking flowers and I can still get the benefit from it, please?
There's voice chatting out there. There's no getting away from it.
I just want the benefit from it. I want to roll on your stupid flowers so you can pick them and I can keep running. You know?
Give me all your daisies.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm at the dungeon killing stuff, getting experience.
You want to pull a salve on us and be savage. I see how it is.
A little bit. Yeah, she inspired me. It was an inspiring action, but
that was a good one. Great video, great clip.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Good stuff. Anything else catch your eye or ear?
Yeah, I still haven't had my question answered on whether or not we're going to be able to build our own campfires, guys. Like I'm up at night, I can't sleep, wondering whether or not I'm going to be able to build campfires in Pantheon. Killing me. I've asked this question in multiple streams.
I would guess that you will be able to, but I bet you have to like level up quite a bit. That feels like a medium, close to medium level ability. Like that feels like it should be special. You know, like instead of having to go, you've earned it, now you can make your own. Otherwise, it turns into a situation like anybody that played New World. Remember when you went to the city and there was like 10 million fires like everywhere?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's like Bodies in Unrest. You start to make designs out of them. You print words on the ground, right?
It's only a matter of time until you know what we're going to see on the ground.
Oh, you know exactly what's going to appear on the ground. Oh yeah, 100%.
I think like needing to be able to skill up to make a campfire is like a great idea because like I can't just go out and make a campfire. I feel like it's something you should probably have to learn how to do.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's a good idea.
It sounds like a ranger thing, honestly.
Right?
It does feel ranger, yeah.
Because that's what we need, more things for rangers to only do.
Absolutely, we do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What we need is
all the things.
Rangers. They already have rogues pooling in Pantheon. They're already taking stuff from us. We got to have some things.
You can go collect the sticks and put them in a pile on the ground, and the wizard can light it all on fire. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Let's go.
I've got an idea. I've got an idea to make everybody happy. Rangers are the only ones that can make fires, but they're made with their corpses. There'll be plenty of them. There'll be plenty of them.
A pyre, a ranger pyre. Is that what you're
ranger pyre, yeah.
Rangers have to sacrifice their death experience.
Can I sacrifice another ranger's death? Can I live? That's what I want to know.
I got to keep you fools warm to sacrifice myself to keep you guys warm. And you're going to make things on top of my corpse. You're going to bake apple stew on top of my corpse or something.
I wonder if the flavor changes based on which ranger you
Oh, it would. And depending on what race the ranger is would add different flavors. Yeah, I like that. We're getting somewhere.
Oh my god. Okay, this has gone totally derailed. Okay, so I was the first one called, so I only got 2 polls up so far. But so far, people are most excited for the challenge phase of crafting, and they said hell yes to boats in Pantheon.
Yes.
In case anyone is listening that would be designing that in Pantheon.
Who could that be? Yeah. Let's go. That's awesome. Good stuff. Anything else?
That's all I got for now. Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Later,
See you
Sarah.
later.
Bye, Sarah.
And by the way, for those who are here for the stream, we have a video that's going up on our YouTube channel tomorrow. It's Sarah and Essen having another MMO couples counseling session talking about pulling in MMOs. So look for that tomorrow. In the meantime, let's go down the list. Desrin is next on the list, and I'm curious to hear what Desrin has to say.
You're letting Desrin in first. He's gonna wander down the path and like pick a bunch of mushrooms.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about. I want to hear about the mushroom.
We were only getting 2 calls tonight because we're not going to get to anything else.
No, Desrin will keep it short, right, Des? Right, Des?
I was typing out our message. This is a surprise. You guys are getting me in early again. I'm not the caboose anymore. You guys are breaking the trend.
Yeah, I gotta switch it up. So what'd you think, man? I know you noticed the Vanguard background. I appreciated that.
Oh yeah.
I knew you would.
I'm so glad that you brought one in, even if it is of the Isle of Refuge.
It is.
Isle of Dawn, whatever, same thing.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
Yeah, but Nefel definitely had a Vanguard background as well, right?
Yeah. You at least got the game right. I'll give you that.
Nice. Just kidding. Nice. What about the crafting? What'd you think?
Oh man, I'm really excited about the crafting in Pantheon. Again, because Nefel's like a big Vanguard fan, right? So like I already know it's at least going to be good and inspired by good things. Mm-hmm. There are a few things that I was a little surprised about, or surprised in like a good way, like how they did the cooking combine. I know it was teased that it was going to be a little bit more freeform, but I kind of like how this is set up in comparison to something like Mortal, where it's literally just totally a freeform. You just throw ingredients in different quantities. It can be very overwhelming and confusing. And this is a little more reined in. You have different types of ingredients, but there's like a more free-form system of putting things in within those boundaries to get something out. I think that was a really nice like compromise between completely free-form and like, you just have your recipe and you just that's it. There's no creativity at all.
Yeah, like there's so many different categories, and like I like that you're sort of like confined to those ingredients. You don't have to, but I like that which category ingredient falls into, so you can sort of like figure it out as you go. Some of the food he created there too looked pretty.
I was going to mention that
the plus 10 endurance on the bear chops. Like, so can you eat that while you're climbing? Because endurance, right? That's your climbing fuel, right?
I would assume it means max endurance.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. No, we're just theory crafting.
Yeah, my first thought was like, oh, dude, climbing food. Like, it's already kind of given an indication that even food won't always be just adventuring.
Right.
Do you expect them to do things like so obviously there's a bit of Breath of the Wild inspiration. Do you expect them to do things like maybe a little spicy ingredient might help keep you just a little bit warmer in some cold climates? Do you expect that kind of thing, Des, or no?
I think that's very within the realm of creativity here, especially
feels right.
If I can venture into the regional stuff a bit, like wouldn't it make sense that ingredients from a cold climate like the Roans, or maybe somewhere in White Thaw, like might actually tend to lean towards those kind of bonuses, because that's what players are going to encounter more in that area. So it adds into that kind of sense of place and regional like familiarity with players to be like, wow, I spent my first 20 levels in White Thaw and I went to Throne Fast, and suddenly I'm used to crafting these foods and you getting these bonuses, but now I'm in Throne Fast where like I'm actually getting a completely different kind of suite of things. It's really, really neat.
Yeah, really good for the economy too, right? To have all these things, because let's just be honest, a lot of us are too lazy to go do all this, so we're just gonna be buying.
That's what I capitalize on is the laziness, the full laziness.
That's where Draq slides into your messages.
Here comes Draq with those apples.
Yeah, you need some apples? I got apples. But you know what? Something I said earlier about like the best stuff being in dangerous areas. I think that the other side of that is that it's not about like the best stuff. It's just about different stuff being available in different areas, right? So it's like I think we said earlier like apples not being available in Thronefast, but only available in Wild's End means you're gonna get this economy set up where it's just like it's not like it's dangerous to go to Wild's End. It's just a long way to go. It's just hard to get there, or it just takes time, right? So
takes time, yeah.
You end up paying for the convenience of just getting somebody else's, to be, travel or to have them however you delivered or whatever, because you can't get there. I think that there's a lot going on there in terms of like, the regions don't have to be difficult themselves. It's just about providing different stuff in different regions.
Yeah, I'd argue it's more important that things are different than it is that they're powerful.
Yeah,
agree. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not normally a gatherer or crafter in mass, but if I'm bored, there's nothing else to do, it's really late at night, my friends aren't on, I don't really want to progress because I'm trying to stay around the same level as some friends, whatever, I will absolutely be like, I've got time, so I'll go travel somewhere, I'll gather up some ingredients, get back on the boat, go all the way back somewhere where it's rare, put it up for sale on whatever auction house you may have, Pantheon, and
slipping that in there, yeah. Nathan's wish list.
Because obviously you're gonna do that, right? But yeah, I would totally, I would live for that kind of extra little immersion feeling gameplay. I love stuff like that.
Oh man, that Rohan says no on the auction house. We got to get him in here next.
Oh no.
Okay, yeah.
But really, though, like some of the chillest, most social moments that I've had in, I'll throw Vanguard in here again, is just group harvesting. Putting on music in the background, everybody just kind of like gets together, and you just, we kind of had like loops in Vanguard, but it won't be exactly the same in Pantheon. But just kind of getting people together. It's not really high octane, but it's just hanging out, getting something done, especially if there's a big goal in mind, like a boat. Like that was some of my favorite. Just hanging out with
very people. Epic, just so epic. You know what I mean? And fulfilling.
Yeah. I think it comes along a little later in like it shines later in a game's lifespan, if you know what I mean, because everybody wants to get, I think most people want to do the adventuring stuff maybe first, and then they sort of do the crafting and gathering when the novelty of the adventuring has worn off. So they kind of, it helps a game stay alive longer when it's got a really robust gathering crafting system, because people just, they get a little burned out on the adventuring, or maybe they're just not something like, as Sarah said, you couldn't find a group that night. If EverQuest had that, what would that have looked like? How people would have played it a little differently. I think it's great that it's not being treated like a side project. Like, and I think Nefel said it during the stream, like, you don't want crafting and gathering to be an add-on. And going back years, there was a conversation we had about this with regard to PvP. Somebody said, like, if you're going to put PvP in your game, don't make it a side thing, do it full, do the whole 9 yards. And I agreed with that 100% at the time. But I feel like that's what they're doing with this crafting and gathering system. They realize that it's not just a throw in, right?
Yeah, this is kind of money where their mouth is, because I know I've over the years heard some, criticism that, like, why are they doing X at this time? And, we get a tiny bit of that right now, which is like, they still have some pretty big things to get in before alpha. And, some folks are kind of like, why are they putting so much into crafting right now or gathering? And it's like, well, maybe because it's a huge part of the game.
Yeah,
like, right.
Exactly. I think that, like, on the scale, like, if you think about it and just like where they have it in the development, like, I think crafting is going to be like 20 times more important than PvP.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And having it in early, so to see how it all affects the rest of the game from here on out is just super important. So I agree that it's good timing.
Good timing. Right on. Anything else, Des?
Oh, totally. But we should
save it for the rewind.
Kick him out. Tell him to stop collecting flowers. Let's go.
If you want to hear more of Desmond's deep thoughts, join us on Sunday at noon for the rewind, and we'll be talking all about this. All right. Talk to you later, Des.
Later, Des.
All right. So just coincidentally, Man of Rohan is next on the list. So
All
we got to
right.
find out why he doesn't like auction houses. So Man of Rohan, if you want to unmute yourself there, I'll bring you in. There we go. So no auction houses. What's up with that? What's the deal?
Oh man, well, not against it. I mean, I have 3 exclamation points, but
Yes, it was emphatic. Come on, don't back down now.
Auction house is a general no, for sure. I'm cool with the idea of, hey, I can sell to a vendor, and then that vendor has that thing that I actually sold them, and someone else could come and buy it from that vendor. So let's say that I am gathering in or creating in this continent, and I want to sell my wares somewhere else. So I go to that other continent and I sell that to someone there in a city into something, and other people could get access to the things that I could sell.
But then you don't get to pick your own price.
That's true.
You don't get to be Draq.
Right. I don't get to pick my own price. So, I mean, I'm of 2 minds a little bit with the auction house, because as far as if I am Draq and I want to start making money on exotic items that you don't have over in this area, that if this was the real world, of course I'd want to just go and sell it and try and sell it myself. But I just feel like that it's a I don't want to call it a slippery slope, but it's easy to explode that if it's an auction house into more and more conveniences that just have killed a lot of that for me.
All right.
And then people stop talking to each other. People start dealing with each other. They just go to the auction house. I just bought 500 tin from whatever, and then I didn't have to deal with anyone. All
right, so let's negotiate. Okay.
Let's not. I don't want to negotiate.
I'll start. Let's start with local, regional, right? So let's say, maybe not even per major city. How do you feel about that? So that means there could be different markets, different fluctuations, different things going on in each one. So you could travel to get something cheaper.
Sure. That's much better. I mean, I like that much better than a global. I don't like the global idea at all. That's where I'm 100% against that. But
let me.
I can hear Sparrow crying now as we're talking.
I've got a couple of issues. One.
Okay.
Everybody always. I mean, I know I'm obviously biased, but everybody always looks at it from the point of the buyer, right?
Right.
The seller, do you know how much it is a pain in the neck to sit in the EC tunnel for 2 hours and spam your thing that you want to sell over and over and over and over again, that maybe 3 people on the server would want to buy, but they're not in that zone and they don't see it. It's
that's right.
It's brutal. Whereas if I could just throw it up on the thing, it sits there for 24 hours and that people can buy it if they want it. So that's a big problem with that system. Also, my solution to the talking with other people and still engaging and having trade chat matter and doing that is you just jack up the price on what the auction house takes, right? You make it profitable to sell your items to other people in person. So that way, before I go to the auction house and dump everything on there, right? I check trade chat, because if I can get 20% extra from just not putting it on the auction house, then I'm going to totally do that, because that's a lot more money. So you have to play with the percentage, I think, on what the auction house takes. And I don't think many modern MMOs have that price high enough. It has to be a real deterrent to just dumping everything on the auction house.
Now, somebody in chat mentioned this, and I want to mention this because this was exactly what I was thinking. I was going to go to this next, which is, some kind of auction house, local, whatever it may be, but there's a tax because you're being lazy, you're buying out the auction house. However, if you go to the original seller, which is the way EverQuest 2 did it, then you don't have to pay the tax. You're just paying directly to the person who sold it. And I want to mention one more idea, although this is getting pretty out there. It's getting a little wild. But I always thought it would be cool if you got an auction house, you pick what you want, But then to buy it, it's almost like it takes you to the shop, right?
Yeah.
It could just be a window.
No.
It could just be a window where you got a little customization.
What?
You can name your shop. You
I
can
think
make a little background for it, you know.
I think the bazaar is the best idea, right?
Bazaar,
Except technology has come far enough where I don't actually have to leave my computer on 24 hours a day logged in.
Right.
I should just be able to buy a vendor that sits there and sells stuff for me, and it charges me a weekly fee or whatever, right?
Right. Or if you're lazy, pay the tax. You don't have to go find the person.
And that also fills your city full of stuff, right? So now your city isn't worthless, and people come to your city and interact with it, right? People are running around, going to different vendors, doing stuff. I think that's
the little bit of customization with your own shop goes a long way, right? And people are talking about Star Wars Galaxy where you could set it up. I mean, I don't want to add a single day to development of Pantheon, okay? So I don't want to.
Throw that out there.
Just throw that out there. Yeah. I don't want to add an hour that I have to wait longer for the launch of Pantheon. But all I'm saying is a little bit of customization, however you do it. Could just be a window. It could just be the customization on the window where you get to name your shop. A couple of backgrounds you can pick from, even unlockable backgrounds. You can make those drops or something. You can make it cool without spending a ton of development time. Is all I'm saying.
I'm all for that kind of idea because then that gives you agency in the world, right? I can be my own shop. I can be whatever, and I think that's true with a lot of the things that have been talked about as far as my life within this world, as a character in the world. So I'm cool with that. I like that idea. Especially because, I have a deep and abiding love of creating things and being useful to people. So crafting is definitely one of those, and gathering is one of those things that kind of fill up that, because I'm not grouping all the time. I don't have the same schedule as everyone else. Right. My schedule is a lot different sometimes than other people, and I'm never going to be constantly grouping with people. So what am I going to do in the meantime? I want to spend time in this world because it's a cool place. That is what I'm thinking. And so what else can I do? I can craft things. I can go and find new places. I can do a lot of things, but crafting for me is one of those. I can just relax myself. I don't have to answer any questions. I don't have to talk to anybody. I know I just talked about having connection with people, but I don't.
You're playing both sides of the fence here.
I am. Yeah, I'm of two minds, right, about this a little bit. But
I don't think so. No, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Therek.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say you're making a really good point here, because what you're sort of, I think where you're going with this is that Pantheon's an intensely social game already. You need the counterbalance of the
sit back and
break from that in the soloing and gathering and the crafting and gathering aspect, where you're doing it on a more solo aspect, right? So I think that it's got more value because of how social Pantheon is. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah, totally agree. Like, we can't be all the time constantly, I'm an introverted extrovert, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So I need time to myself sometimes, and I love going out and just mining things. In Minecraft, my kids are up doing things like feeding cows and stuff, and I'm down in the mine just making my mine. And they're like, "When are you coming up here?" I'm like, "I'm still mining stuff. It's it's cathartic for me." So it's a nice thing. So anyway, I had a few actual points that I wrote notes on, but so maybe I'll talk about those things too. But yeah, so I mean, I love the ideas that are coming forth, and I have a lot of theory crafting in my own head about that kind of stuff. Like, I like the discovery stuff for cooking a lot. I really enjoyed it in Breath of the Wild. I really enjoyed it in some other games. There's I can't remember right now. Core Keeper is another one where you can just discover things, and that's really fun. You just put things together. Oh, it did make something cool. What kind of stats do I get out of this one? I like that the barrier is time in regards to mining things, and not just, I can't even do this one. Forget it. I'll just skip that one and run away. No, if I sat here for half an hour, I could still get this. This other person didn't want to spend the half hour to do it, but I did, so I got the benefits of that.
How do you stop AFK mining though?
I don't know.
You
Draq.
don't stop it. It's
this
just
is how I
slower,
think.
and maybe
This is where my brain goes.
maybe a monster come by and kill you. You're taking that risk when you go make that pizza while you're just
That's
slowly,
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, that can be mitigated, right? You can have those you can path things going. Those bears are just sitting there right now, you know, but they could be coming by, you know.
But and Minus was taking damage while he was crafting. I mean, isn't that how you stop AFK crafting, by making it some risk to your character, right? Like, I mean, even in chat says we have ways, you know, like he knows, he's got it.
I know if I was actually out there the pick mining, I'd be getting bits and pieces of my eyeball. I'd be cutting myself. I'd be bashing my foot. You know, I would be taking some damage for sure.
Yeah,
well, I'm thinking like if I'm cutting down a tree, you know, maybe there's some squirrels in there, or some ants that don't want me to do that, and they attack me. You know, that kind of
That's
thing.
a good point. That's
You
a
know?
really good point. Yeah.
So, hey, quit cutting down.
A beehive falls on your head from the tree above, kind of thing.
I don't know.
Like, I am having an awful day today.
Nathan's running around with like a swarm of bees chasing him. It's like, what were you doing? I was crafting. I was crafting.
My face is all swollen.
You know, but I'm looking forward, and obviously I have no idea what Nefel is planning, or what the whole team is planning. But you know, I want for the activity that I'm doing to be commensurate with the usefulness of the item. You know, if I am building a ship, I want it to be really hard, because then the prestige of building a ship is cool. You know, we've talked about and heard about the prestige of getting a really cool chess piece or something like that, because you went and you raided for it, and you found this really neat thing. Well, I think that should be true in crafting as well. You know, and a lot of our teams and games have tried to do that, but I don't think that crafting has ever really come close enough.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe Pantheon won't either. You know, I don't know. We aren't there yet. So, but I'm hoping that what comes out is, hey, I can go and craft and just be really a part of the world. So
right. I do agree with that. And no matter what they decide to do with auction houses, we all know there'll be a toggle for it. So if you don't like the way, you can toggle the other way.
Just stoke that fire. Just stoke it, Nathan. Yes. Listen, I can't let one thing go. I got to talk about it. I know that I've turned the crafting stream into the auction house stream, but I don't care. So localized auction houses are a bad idea. A horrible bad idea. We learned this in New World, because this is what happens.
You just want to monopolize it.
No. Hear me out. Hear me out. This is important. We learned this in New World, because what happens is the population decides that one town is the main hub, and then that's the only one they use.
But isn't that good? Like, that's because that's the people in the world deciding that.
But you've spent all these time and resources making local auction houses,
Draq,
and they're only going to use one at the end of the day anyway.
Hold up, though. You are confusing one main element of Pantheon that separates it from all those games that do that.
Okay, what's
no
that?
Fast travel, no flying mount.
You're still gonna have wizard
way too lazy. Oh, dude, that's gonna cost. You can't unless you got it. You know, everybody don't have a buddy. Even with dial-a-port, etc. Like, that costs money. Like, you can't afford that. You're trying to spend all your money buying them apples from Draq, who's overcharging for them. You know,
maybe.
Like, I'm telling you, it will be different because of like, people will be forced out of two reasons: necessity to use whatever is near them, and B, laziness. Do not ever underestimate the power of laziness.
100%.
It is huge. Dude, you can like, say the auction house is here. In any game, World of Warcraft, any of them. Auction house is here. You can walk over to the weapons store right here, buy a sword, sell it for more on the auction house. People will buy it for more than have to walk.
WoW actually had to put minimum prices on, or minimum and maximum prices on vendor stuff, because people would buy from the vendor.
Yeah, I did. That's how I always make my money. I always do that because I'm just lazy to craft or gather.
All right, I promise I'm not taking over the crafting stream with selling stuff. I'm done.
So what I won't take much more time, but one thing I would like to see more in the future is, you know, if there's group gathering, I want to see some group crafting as well. Are we going to have?
I want to see
Yeah.
that too.
No, group
I wanna see
crafting.
that more of that.
Absolutely.
Like,
I have questions about it. Like, I have questions
Mhm.
about how it works, what the mechanics are, and like, yeah, I want to see more demonstrations of it.
Right.
At maybe at a higher sort of level, sort of thing.
Right, and what you brought up, Draq, I think this is another reason to bring crafting in as early as and spend as much time as they are early on this, is that we need to find out how people react to having these things on the market and being able to sell things and being able to craft things that other people can consume. So let's find that out. I say let's, like I'm part of the team, but
man.
I'm sure that's something they want to know.
I think auction houses should be next.
Draq's ready to test.
He's on.
I'm your
He's
guy.
on.
Let's do it.
Anyway, well, thanks, guys. Oh, one last thing. We didn't get a definitive answer really, because there was the joke about Savanya taking the stuff. But what happens when you are group gathering, group crafting? Who gets the stuff?
Yeah, that's my
that's
question too. Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Is it percentage? Like how much damage you did?
Roll for that one ore piece. Roll 100.
Does my one hit give me a full loot?
Yeah, I was here for 3/4 of it. You just joined at the end. Does that mean you get a fair? What does that look like? So anyway,
who damages it the most? Yep.
Participation. Right. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me talk again.
You bet.
Later, man. Ryan.
Thanks, man.
Hey, I'm gonna do a little sea shanty here.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Soon may the Pantheon come to bring us friends and MMO fun. One day when the beta is done, we'll all log in and go.
So good.
So if you're not subscribed to Mana Rohan's YouTube channel, you need to do that now.
Yes. And speaking of Mana Rohan, he's going to be on that video with us, Sarah and S. He's a guest.
Nice.
Guest on their show. Yeah. So
Savanya just said it's loot rules. So greed, need,
Oh, okay.
Or depending on what your group has set for the loot rules.
Interesting.
So you can't craft with multiple people unless you're in the same group?
I don't know. Find out.
Guess not.
I mean, this is what I'm going to be doing this PA test this weekend, to be honest with you guys. I want to spend some time with this because we didn't do it last time because we were doing other things. 100%. So this time I want to spend a little time with it because
I'll follow you around, Therek, in your group, and I'll just loot stuff.
Okay, we're doing some gathering and crafting this weekend, Draq. Let's talk to our friend Mr. Cobbleshire. See what he has to say. So Mr. C has arrived.
Mr. C.
What's up, guys?
Not much.
What's up?
I saw you had some commentary during the stream. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should go on here and argue about crafting since that's what Mana Rohan just did at auction houses, just to keep things even.
Yes.
Okay.
My man, Mr. C.
I don't think crafting should be in Pantheon. Fight me.
Whoa!
You're taking you're taking it all out. No crafting, just pure killing monsters. No picking flowers. No nothing. Gotcha.
I just want things to be as boring as possible.
Yeah. People quitting because they can't find a group. Nothing to do. No reason to exist. That's. I think you're onto something here. I think you're onto something.
No, I kind of wanted to bring up. I kind of like the idea of like a communal gathering and maybe even crafting, because one of my favorite parts of classic WoW was it was kind of a guild effort to be like, okay, you level up this and then we're gonna get resources, and then the next raid hit and no one cared about gathering that much. It was just all alchemy.
So what do you think caused that? Like, what was behind
the cause was mainly that there wasn't, outside of consumables, there wasn't a lot of reasons to craft stuff in the raids after Molten Core.
Yeah.
Because you have Molten Core and you need Arcanite bars to make that legendary hammer. And then after that, it's just gear. It's just gear, you need consumables for the raid, and that was that. But I really loved like the group effort of like, hey, we need to get together. We're going to need all this ore to make, to get such and such his legendary weapon. So
that's why So I think that that's a two-prong. So if you make raiding so hard that only me and my friends can do it, for example, then crafting stays viable, right? Or no?
Well, you got to
Like
put.
if raiding is really hard, is what I was joking when I said me and my friends.
You got to.
But if crafting is so hard that like you squeeze that percentage of people that can clear it, is that the only way to solve that?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying that the problem with classic WoW is that there wasn't any reason to do it after the first raid.
Right. You got to put some
And-
crafting materials on raid mobs. That's key.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny, you know, going back to the earliest videos of Pantheon, if you remember that boss, there was a boss at the bottom of Amber Fate that they showed off super early, and he dropped crafting materials. If you remember, they talked about it. And do you remember in Amber Fate, there's that dwarf, what's his name? The Grandsmith, Bastrin the Grandsmith, or something like that, who is in a, like, it's a very difficult area to get to. There's a climate involved, and you can go there, and that's where the crafting takes place, right? So right from the get-go of Pantheon's development, they've had crafting integrated with the adventuring system, right? So what you're talking about being, you know, crafted gear doesn't matter after a certain point in the adventuring realm. I think that they've had that problem in mind since day one.
Right. And you got to do that. Otherwise, your crafting is just a money sink.
Yeah. At least over time, yeah.
Yeah, because it's just a way to get
worthless.
money out of the market. Because people don't know, they do a bunch of crafting and they just sink a bunch of money into it, and that's it. And then it goes nowhere. Eventually, you just get gear through raiding.
Yeah, it's such a hard balance between gear raid or raid gear, crafting gear, right? And you have to mix those, or else you're gonna have an imbalance. And you know the raiders are gonna be mad that people can just go and save up money and buy gear better than the raiding gear, and vice versa, right? So it's a tricky one, man. It's one that Blizzard never could get a grip on.
I wonder if there's a way that you can, like, so you loot the item off the raid boss, right? And you don't. Of course, in Pantheon it might not matter because if you can trade most everything, it won't be a big deal. But like, but if it is no drop, then you could no drop trade it to, like, in a window with a crafter, and then he could use that to craft.
Yeah.
Type of a deal.
Well, yeah. One thing you said, Mr. C, that I thought was interesting is that you noticed like consumables are the only real things that retain any kind of crafting value, right? Like throughout to the end game, so to speak.
And Nefel's saying, "Oh, remember the schematics? I totally forgot about the schematics.
Oh, true.
It's not you learn a recipe and then you know it forever. It's you have a schematic that makes the weapon one time and then it disappears. That's right.
That's smart. That's really smart.
That's totally smart.
Because that fuels both ends.
Right.
You know what I mean? That keeps both ends going. The raiders need the crafters. Crafters need the raiders.
Yep.
You've got that. Yeah.
Symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, because it could be as good as the best raid weapon, but there's maybe only 2 or 3 schematics on the server, you know.
Right.
Exactly.
And typically, not always, but typically you're raiding with your guild. Maybe your master armor smith is with you. Maybe he's not. But if you're doing it for guild, you get that schematic. It goes to your whoever you've designated as your guild armor crafter to have that, so they can make whatever it is, either for the guild or to sell for the guild, etc. So, I like it. But I do. What about this though? Let's go a little deeper. Okay. Schematics. Can you sell them on the local auction house? Or
I was wondering what you're going to say there.
Should they be sellable?
It all comes full circle.
I don't know.
Yeah, full circle. Here we go.
I think it would depend. I think there should be some schematics that drop that are like almost getting into that end game raid, like stratosphere, where it's like, oh man, that's almost as good as this drop in this raid, but it's not the best. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you'd want something that's as good as a raid. The best raid weapon
No, not the no. I'm sorry, the schematic. I was talking about the schematic.
Yeah. I'm talking about like this, like the schematic for the best.
Oh, right.
For a weapon that's as good as the best raid weapon.
Gotcha.
Do you want that just going everywhere, wherever you want it to be? Maybe only 2 people on the server can craft it.
Yeah.
I want raid level food, man. Are you kidding me? I want the recipe for like raid food. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm just hungry now.
Give me that raid food.
Give me a raid burger, please. I'll take the raid ribs if you don't mind.
Sick eating this solo food. I want some of that raid food.
Yeah, no more solo bat wings, please. I want raid bear meat ribs.
This is my question that I was kind of curious about. Will Pantheon have its own like unique recipes similar to like Fallout New Vegas's has the Wasteland omelet that was made in that game? Will Pantheon have similar recipes that will inspire people to make similar food?
I don't know. It sounds like a Pantheon thing.
It does, doesn't it?
You know.
Well,
we haven't seen that yet, but
well, Nefel's dropping beans about the Dragon Tail etouffee, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, he said the meat from the Dragon Tail is the best part. That's awesome. That's what I want. I want Nagafin steaks.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what EQ is missing. Nagafin steaks.
100%. Right. Awesome. What else you got, Mr. C? Anything else?
I just wanted to quickly mention Minus's his acting award that he won during that stream.
It's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. He's a talented actor. You'd be surprised. He's convincing when he wants to be.
It's a lot better than a lot of the E3 things that I've heard in the past.
Yep. Yeah, he's I like that the stream had a humorous, play sense to it. Like we're just seeing on screen right now with the bears, and I mean it's pretty funny stuff. Everybody knows Minus and bears.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for hopping on. It's always good to see you. You're quite the regular now. We love it.
Yeah. Always a pleasure.
All right, dude. See
Later,
ya.
Mr.
Yeah,
C.
thanks, man.
Later.
All right, we have our last green room participant, and I hope she's calmed down because when we were talking about local auction houses, I know Sparrow was.
Yes, Sparrow knows exactly. Sparrow knows.
Yes. So let's see if Sparrow's calmed down.
You might say Sparrow knows what evil lies in the hearts of men.
She's currently installing and uninstalling New World just so she can uninstall it again.
I don't hate New World. What lies are we spreading?
Certain aspects of New World you did not care for.
Yes, the auction house and the limited banking. Hated that.
I recall it well.
Ooh, limited banking. That hurts.
Limited banking is
horrible.
I just don't remember. I just leave it. I'm like, I don't remember what bank it was in. Oh well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I got to a certain point. I'm just like, well, I guess I'm not crafting anymore. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, that's an unfortunate situation. But what did you think of the stream, Sparrow? Anything else?
I loved all the beans. Neff did great. There was at one point when they were talking about the rarity of the nodes and things, I started getting a little concerned about, okay, can I just not go out and start wandering and harvesting and just have a day of harvesting, right? Because I'm one of those people that find it relaxing. Nothing's going on. But Neff did put a quote in chat. Hopefully he's okay with me using it. It was said, for those concerned about the rarity of gathering nodes, don't be. You'll be able to find them if you go looking. And if you want specific types, you may need to go to specific places, and some of those will be more dangerous than others. But gathering solo is still an option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good to bring up because like we do get a little carried away with the social and the group stuff. I mean, it's exciting and it's interesting, like I said at the outset. But you're right. I mean, it still needs to be very solo accessible, right? We don't want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it both ways. That's the great thing about how they're creating it is you can go out in that whole group atmosphere or maybe go into a dungeon or somewhere more dangerous, but you can also just decide to go out and get your more common ingredients and chill out in the beautiful environment.
Yeah, and for those people who were concerned when they mentioned the whole, like, maybe there'll be something scary in front of it that you'll need to get a group to help you because it's a really good node and there's something guarding it. I hate to be that guy, but we've all played EverQuest. You could always just, like, hide in the bushes, wait for the group to attack the mob, then go while they're fighting it, go get the node. I'm just saying.
Wait, I'm the bad guy? I'm the bad guy?
We all know that that's a tactic, okay?
Oh yeah, I've had that happen to me many, many times. Yes, and I may or may not swear. So.
I mean, I wouldn't do it on a stream in front of everybody, but I'm just saying it happens.
Wait, your lawful good paladin is casting invisible on himself and ninjing the rare mining node.
You always act like you didn't know. You're like, oh, I thought you were just killing the thing. That's what I didn't.
I thought you were walking away. Wait, I thought you were camping out. Are you? No. Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's where you get the stabbies.
Yeah, that's when you call in reinforcements. You're like, hey, this paladin guy, what the hell?
When did
you just trade him?
When did Sparrow switch to a PvP server? The day all of her mining nodes got ninja'd.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Sparrow. Like, there's few things I enjoy as much as like just wandering around. And if you're like, you go to places where nobody goes, right, and you sort of find a node that maybe is not well known, nobody really knows about. Same thing like finding a rare mob. That's why I enjoyed being a ranger so much, because you could track that stuff. But like, if you're out there and you just want to, you find a really nice node that you can kind of just, it's out of the way and you don't think anybody else has found, it's great, right? Like, it's great.
Yeah. And that big giant node, I did notice when he was harvesting it himself, it took, a ton of time. Then when Savanya was there helping, it went way faster. Mm-hmm. So you can still solo it. It's not locked just because it's a group node.
Right. It just takes longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we haven't really talked about the whole challenge phase thing. What is that about? And you may lose ingredients. I'm not usually a fan of that. So like in EverQuest, you just you fail your combine, you lose everything. I don't like that, but I was okay with it in, say, EQ2, if you had to react to a combination or something and you were successful, you didn't lose it.
I'm okay with that. I would just like to insert here that I failed the 5th shawl combine.
Oh, don't talk about that shawl.
Start back over.
I failed and I never went and did it again. I collected all those freaking rare ingredients and failed the combine. I'm like, I'm out. No way. Not fun.
Yeah, that hurts. Yeah, that does hurt.
I mean, days and days and days of getting worm biles and spider silks. And oh my gosh.
It was awful.
Horrible. Yeah. Can you die? So you can die during harvesting, correct?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. Confirmed.
Can you die during crafting on these challenge phases?
Oh.
I feel like you should be able to, because like, EverQuest 2, you could take damage. I mean, you could die crafting.
But do you die or do you go in a down state?
Oh, it's a good question. I guess you would go in a down state. Yeah.
Well, and then if that's the case, then if there's people standing around you, I mean, they can pick you up. They can get you.
Oh my goodness! Now we need healers for crafting. Now we're gonna have healers for everything.
We got the purple club for crafting and harvesting now. So
I'm gonna make a healer that doesn't even adventure. They're just like, I'm a crafting gatherer healer.
Can you imagine?
I'm not going to the dungeon. I'm here for crafters and gatherers.
We're just logging in my crafting cleric bot.
Can you imagine, like, how in EverQuest 2 there was like the crafting stations where there's like 6 forges in a row and people would just stand there and hammer away? Can you imagine if people were passed out in front of the forge and you'd be like, all right, that guy's passed out again, just go over, pick him up, and then you see another character and she's out like a light over on your right, Can you imagine?
Heck yeah.
Out in the wild, you see somebody crawling slowly away from an ore node. You're like, oh, the node got him. The node got him.
Oh, he hit himself in the foot. I saw it.
Yeah. So you go steal his node, right, Nathan?
Yeah, Nathan wouldn't pick him up.
I'm like, hang on, I'm going to res you in a minute. Let me finish the node. Don't worry.
How much time do you have before you're dead? Are you fully dead? Or how much time? He's like, don't crawl. You're going to bleed out.
Dead.
Yeah. Hey, I told you not to crawl, bro. I was going to get you up after I finish the node, all right?
You better hope it doesn't take him 20 minutes to mine that note. You're not going to
These
make it.
We're laughing, but these are the kind of situations that make an MMO memorable, right?
Yeah,
Is these variables, right? And I love that Pantheon's letting things happen. Just let things happen. Life ain't fair, and it ain't balanced all the time. There's no reason for my virtual world to be that way.
Right.
Let stories unfold, you know?
Yeah. You know what, man? Shit happens, all right?
That's right.
It's going to happen, all right?
Even if it's not funny to you tonight, give it a year. Next year you'll laugh, okay?
You'll laugh
Next
about
year
this
you'll laugh.
in 20 years when
Sparrow,
we're thinking about the next MMO we're going to play.
Sparrow, all I have to say is all of a sudden we talk about crafting and we talk about gathering, and it brings out the evil in Nathan and Therek.
And Nathan's not even a crafter.
We're both super casual, and he's picking off nodes, and I'm swearing, and like, oh my, what's going on here?
Maybe this is why I don't do it a lot, okay?
Maybe.
I remember in New World, Therek was getting irritated at some guy that kept going ahead and picking his stuff.
It was my fishing spot, man. It was my fishing spot. He was getting in my, that little crafting, the little fishing hole there. Kept stepping in, taking it.
Hey, man, it gets fierce out there in the gathering world. Everybody thinks it's some little friendly unicorn ride with prancing ponies and rainbows. It gets pretty crazy out there.
Yeah, it's savage.
Dog eat dog world. Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, we do have an additional last end. Apparently, there's corrections that need to be made and untruths that need to be unspoken. So maybe we should have Nefel in to right all our wrongs.
And we'll get some of your questions. We'll put some of your questions to him, Sparrow.
Perfect.
All right.
Talk
to you later, my friend.
Ciao.
Thanks.
All right. Let's get in Nefel, the crafting dev guru from VR. So here we go. Naf, what have you thought of this crazy conversation we've been having?
Oh, this is awesome. You guys
you're digging it?
I love hearing all the things you're talking about. And it's stuff we've all been talking about for years, even before I was on the VR team. But it's just great to hear everyone's passion around it, and definitely to figure out how we're going to upset Draq's apple cart in launches.
Many games have tried, but none have succeeded.
Oh, you're putting that to the guy who's played like every MMO crafting situation in the history of MMOs. So, Draq, I would not be betting on your success in this case. I think Neff can do it.
We'll see.
We'll make it fun. We'll make it fun.
Yeah, that's right. So great stream tonight, Neff. I mean, like you hear us talking, having a lot of fun because you guys made it a really entertaining, even for people who are maybe, more casual crafters or not as hardcore with it. But we can see the depth and hear what you're talking about. I had a couple questions, so I just want to, the number one thing I want to know is can you maybe explain a little bit more about so what does getting a crit on the node do? What are the advantages of getting that, getting a crit, getting higher damage, is it just about not, losing your health, or is there some other advantage that you get? Do you get more ore out of it? What do you get?
Yeah, so it's at the moment it's just extra damage, which helps you mine that node faster or gather from that node faster. In the future, when we do things like set up nodes in extreme climates or near fractures, it might actually be to your benefit to focus more on getting those critical hits than on your attack speed, as an example. And this is all hypothetical, but you can imagine a situation where you're mining something near a fracture and maybe it's doing feedback damage to you every time you hit it. So you want to go for those bigger hits less frequently instead of hitting it more frequently and taking more damage. And that's just a simple example, but there's all sorts of situational things that we can do that might make it beneficial to you to change your strategy up, right? Maybe you want to focus more on crit, or maybe you want to focus, more on speed or more on raw damage or whatever. There's other factors that we can get into. One of the things I've talked about, I think, on the forums is that, gathering is not necessarily a quiet activity. And if there are NPCs roaming around near where you're gathering, they might come to investigate. Well, imagine you run into a node where that some property of that node actually makes that activity louder than it would normally be, right? So there's lots of different things we can do that kind of put you in these different situations that, now all of a sudden you want to think about what ability am I using and what's the right one to use in the situation that I'm in.
So the the aggro crafter's disposition, where if anybody's crafting, the mob goes straight for whoever's mining the node.
That should be automatic.
Yeah,
if somebody's crafting while you're fighting.
There's another way you could snag a node off somebody. The options are just widening. The options are widening here. So Nafel, I want to dig into that a little bit because I didn't catch it. Maybe you guys did show this. I just didn't see it personally. Are you saying that, like, say for example, I'm in like at the mouth of a cavern, right? And there's a node there. It's going to echo. It's going to be really loud. Are you saying that there might be abilities you can get where you could like peck at it quieter? It might take longer, but you're trying to, you're by yourself. You don't want to get attacked by a bear or something in the cave. So maybe there's an ability to be quieter. Is that the kind of thing you're thinking of?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we can take it either direction, right? We can have something that makes you mine faster, but you're louder and more likely to draw attention. We can also have something that makes you gather slower, but you're quieter, less likely to draw attention. So that's the beauty of the system that we're using, is that we have a lot of flexibility in terms of how we change the interaction based on the abilities that you're using. One of the other questions that comes up all the time is like, could this affect, like what I get from the node? Like, could I have a higher chance of getting a rare or something like that? And we don't have that in right now, but in the future we could potentially do something like that where, hey, you know what, maybe you slow down your gathering, but you have a higher chance of getting some of those rare things from it as a result.
Interesting.
So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility there for us to change the rules slightly, and really kind of keep things interesting. And the idea is that as you come into different areas and you're presented with these different situations, if you have pursued the progression in gathering and you've done, especially like if you've specialized and you've spent time doing that horizontal progression to learn all these abilities, you'll have different tools that you can apply to each of those situations.
Oh, that's great. That's great. One of the as you were talking, I was thinking about the extreme climates, right? Like these higher tier climates that Pantheon's going to have, and the devs have talked about. You're going to want to get out of there quicker, right? Like you're not going to want to spend a lot of time. I mean, even if you have some acclimation, maybe you don't have enough acclimation, but you can get in there for 30 seconds to mine something and get out before you die, right? So you want to be going as fast as you can. You want to get those crits. You want to get, like, it's about speed at that point. It's not about like, you're stopping yourself from dying, but you're doing that through really fast crafting, right? I think that that's a really neat idea. I really like that.
When your clothes are on fire, it's time to get out.
like at the foot of a volcano, right? Like you're about to burn up, but you can get like enough hits in to get that one piece of ore and get the hell out of there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of giving players meaningful choices. I don't want you to always be pressing the same buttons in the same order every time you engage with something. And that's true whether we're talking about adventuring or whether we're talking about gathering or crafting as well, right? So I want to give you situations that you have to think about and respond to as a player. And then I want to give you different tools that you can apply that will, that give you options. And you could say, well, how do I want to approach this based on what I've got available to me?
Right.
I love it.
Are you going to be able to be healed while gathering or crafting?
At the moment, yes. Which might be super useful if that bear starts chomping on you or something.
I agree.
Mining while the bear is chomping on you. I like that.
If we find that everybody has heal bots following them around, then maybe we'll change that. But at the moment, yes, you can be healed.
It's all dependent on how much I abuse the system. Got it.
So hold back on the abuse until launch, Draq.
I think this is the life of a dev. If I've learned one thing from following the game, is that the life of a dev is basically just fighting back against people trying to abuse the systems that they create, right?
That's why it makes such a great tester, Therek.
Yeah, there you go, right?
I do want to say, Nafel, that the ridiculously what I would have considered impossible task of making gathering something that feels like an adventure, like there's danger there's strategy, is super, super interesting to me, as opposed to it only being something you do out of boredom or as a side activity because you can't do what you really want to do, right? You're really setting this up to be something that even people who don't normally gather will want to partake in this system because it's got gameplay elements to it. You know what I mean? And that's really well done. I had a feeling you guys would pull it off, but I didn't know how you were going to do it. And I love these details.
Well, I mean, hopefully it works out the way we're hoping. But yeah, that's the goal, right? And there's, not only is it I think better from a player retention standpoint, right? We're giving you an interesting activity to do and not something that's just kind of boring, right? But there's also economic benefits to that as well. If we want to have a really strong game economy, I want the people who just want to go out there and be those resource gatherers to really feel like that's a fulfilling activity that they can do. I want them to feel compelled and go out there to gather more resources to sell to the crafters or trade on the markets or whatever they end up doing with them, right? It shouldn't just be about people trying to be self-sufficient all the time.
Yeah.
But it should be about players doing the things they enjoy and then working together to achieve something greater.
Yeah, that reminds me of something that you said during the stream, was that there's certain food you can make that benefits certain classes more than others, I think you said, and correct me if I'm wrong there, but the idea that as a ranger, there's a food that helps with some ability that I have, or does something to benefit my contribution to the group. I think that's a neat idea, and I'm interested to see where that goes.
Neff Chat is wondering if there is any beans to be spilled about how we sell items, auction houses, player shops. any beans there? Any information?
Not that I can really share.
Okay.
I will say that I have heard all of the pros and cons. I have expressed those same pros and cons myself for many things. And in a perfect world, my approach would probably be a hybrid approach that leverages several different ideas together. But we won't be ready to really talk about that until we're well into alpha. And part of that is that we need to get all of these items kind of side by side with each other in the game and see what supply and demand start to look like. And
Sure.
like, what are the things that people want? What are the things that people trade? Have we got all that sorted out? And then we can start looking at, okay, how do we want to facilitate that activity?
Right.
If I were to go sketch out a design right now, it would probably sound really great, but it would be premature. So
Right.
we're waiting until we have some data to put against it.
All right.
Go ahead, Nathan. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, though. All right. Set aside, not asking developer Nefel this, okay? I'm asking Nefel, the MMO player. If you had to choose, not for Pantheon, we're not even talking about Pantheon now, okay? We're not even talking about Pantheon. I'm just saying you have to choose your favorite between only these two options: local auction house or EC tunnel. And you have to pick not Pantheon, just you, Nefel, the player of MMOs.
Debated.
Yeah, big time.
Talk about a lead. Objection, Your Honor, leading the witness.
Yeah.
I tried. It was a worthy try.
I'll tell you, so here's what I can tell you, right? Personally, as a player, I absolutely hated the EC tunnel because it was exclusionary. If you really wanted to participate in it, you had to literally spend all of your game time standing there in the shout chat, participating in the EC tunnel. And so as a player, my time is pretty limited, right? I'm not the person who could sit and play 16 hours a day. And that always bothered me about the EC tunnel. Now I understand why people like it. I get the social interaction. I like that, but that always bothered me. On the flip side of that, my absolute favorite experience as a seller in an MMO was running my shop in Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah.
Because I I was a weaponsmith, and I had my little house set up with my storefront and my vendor in there, and people would come from literally all over the server to buy my weapons, and it was tremendously fulfilling. I've also had good experiences with other systems as well, in various games, but when I think about the experience that I want to drive for people who participate in the economy, for the buyers, I want them to be able to feel like the items that they need are within reach, that they're not going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops to go get something that they want. It doesn't mean it should be instant gratification, but it shouldn't feel like they have to devote a whole play session to like traveling across the world to get the thing. Philosophically. For sellers, I really want that experience to feel fulfilling. I want them to feel like they're truly providing a service to other players. And I want them to be able to feel proud of the stuff that they're selling to those other players. And, every time they get that notification that somebody bought their thing, whether that's, in person or via some NPC or whatever, like that should be a thrill. It should be gratification. Like, oh man, somebody bought that armor piece I put up. That's awesome. I'm going to go make another one now.
Yeah, I love it. So true.
I remember leaving my character up on the bazaar in EverQuest, and I would leave the speakers on in the middle of the night, and you'd hear the cell sound, and I would literally wake up out of bed and go over to the computer and check what I sold. Because it was that much fun for me. Like it
is true.
It's addicting.
Dude, I think it's just exciting in any game with any market, as long as it has one. To be honest, I get excited like logging in just to see if all this fancy stuff I put up sold. Like it's so exciting just to be like, oh yeah, I got some money now. I love it. No matter what you guys go with, it's addictive, and I'm sure it'll be the most fun option.
I won't say which game it is, but I still play a couple of games. And there's one game where every Saturday morning I will get up and I will craft a bunch of stuff and I will put it up for sale. And then, a week later, because I pretty much only get to play on the weekends, I will log in that game and I will excitedly go through to see what sold and who bought it. And then I'll craft more stuff and put it up for sale. So I totally get it.
That's a good feeling.
And I want to say this, one of my most memorable, because I don't have a lot, unfortunately, crafting or gathering experiences was, I don't even remember what it was, but there was a particular item I realized people were buying it a lot. Right, in EverQuest 2. So I made it my mission. Like, that's what I'm going to get. So I got a ton of it, and I always would log on for a couple of hours at least per day to get this item so I could put it up for sale, right? And one day, somebody sent me a DM, like a tell, saying, hey, man, I'm so thankful you keep your prices fair, and I use this a lot for my crafting, and really appreciate you for doing that. And it was like, wow. That is so cool. Like, I'm just trying to make money. I'm not doing it for the betterment of the server, right? But somebody recognized that I was always keeping a fair price on this item, and they always bought from me. That's cool.
Nathan, do you know what that means when you get that DM?
It means that you're not selling for high enough. But hey, people were...
Oh, he called you, Draq. He got you. He knew exactly.
It's true though. It's like the best feeling when somebody sends you a tell out of nowhere and they're like, "Hey, I bought your thing," and I just wanted to say thank you. Or maybe they're like, "Hey, could you make this other thing that I need?"
Yeah.
That's for a lot of people. I think that's what makes crafting really fun, is that social interaction that they get, that social value that I keep talking about, right? And so that's something we really want to emphasize. I've played games where everybody becomes a crafter because they're just trying to be self-sufficient. And to me that, while I get that, sometimes it's fun just to make things, that's still missing the point of it, which the point of it should be that you're providing a service to other players that they value. And so that's one of the reasons why we make a lot of the choices that we do for Pantheon's design, is we're constantly trying to reinforce that value that you have to other players.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. I mean, those are all just hearing the stories of past MMOs and those experiences makes me want to play, makes me want to get in there and re-experience that stuff.
Gather and craft and sell some things. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's go. Oh, we could pepper you with questions all night, Nafal. We won't do that. I know you're tired from doing the stream and putting in all the hard work that you guys are doing on the game. But thank you so much for jumping in the green room, man. Really appreciate it. It's been
No
too
worries.
long.
It has been way too long since I've had a chance to talk to you guys. This has been fun, but yeah, looking forward to what we'll see not just for this month, but in the coming months. We're with the help of Steve and Rob, we're moving really fast on kind of getting these baseline systems into the game, and I'm really thankful for our pre-alpha testers and the feedback that they provide, because it's helping us refine those ideas, and then once we get to alpha and we kind of open up the floodgates and let everybody in on this thing, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking about Robert. I think for me and a few other people, we haven't heard that name before. Could you just give us a brief little ditty on Robert?
Yeah, I think Therek forgot to talk about him once.
One time I forgot to mention.
Minus
blames me for it. It actually wasn't even me. It was Minus, but I'll fall on the sword for the guy.
But
it's
yeah,
Therek's fault. Oh.
Rob is one of our programmers. For those that don't actually know him, he is tremendously talented, and he works on a lot of our back end tools and the database that underlies everything that we do. We honestly could not do what we do without the tools that Rob develops for us. So he is a critical part of the team. And he's been awesome for this crafting stuff, because we're literally building a bunch of it from scratch. Like it just wasn't there before. So Steve and I will come up with a list, and we'll say, hey, Rob, we need these things in the database. And literally they will be there 12 hours later. It's amazing.
Well, I'm sad. I'm sorry, Robert, that I didn't know he was, but Therek, he didn't mention him, and that's who I go to. He's my go-to guy. So hopefully,
Neff, can we make a request to get Rob on an interview on one of our shows here? Because I feel like we need to clear the air here. I feel like there's some baggage that I've somehow created or been accused of that needs to be cleared.
Better let me do that interview, Therek. He might be able to angry at you.
I'm sure Rob would be happy to talk to you about some of the things he does. You probably just need to send that request to Mr. Dean and get it set up.
I'm getting on that. I'm going to make it happen, Captain. That's awesome.
I'm just sad Minus wasn't here for that joke. He already went to bed.
I know. He's already gone to bed, apparently. Whatever. Awesome. Well, thanks, Neff. Don't be a stranger, and we cannot wait to get into this weekend. I'm gonna rally the VIPs to get in there and give you the feedback you need for the gathering and crafting this.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Yeah, later. Thanks, man.
All right. Hey, we have
the show.
We have held 55 to 60 people here for almost 2.5 hours. People are very passionate about their crafting, and their gathering. It's pretty amazing. So
that was
no, go
ridiculously
ahead.
fun. That was ridiculously fun. I just wanted to say, I haven't laughed that hard in a while. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We want to thank all the community for showing up. Thanks for supporting us. We also want to thank VR for coming and chatting with us. We always love having you guys in chat, and you're always welcome to come on and hop in the show. We really appreciate that. Mr. Nathan Napalm, Mr. Full-Time Streamer, Mr. Making It Happen, Mr. Cringe, Mr. What else? What am I leaving out? Oh, Mr.
Game Geezer.
Game Geezer. Mr. Game Geezer.
Mr. Geezer now, too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot going on. Actually, no, we don't, because we got testing. No, we don't. So tomorrow night we're doing EverQuest P99, me, Bounty, and Sparrow. And then don't miss us Sunday night for episode 2 of the Game Geezer with me, Daimlos from here on Pantheon Plus, and Steve and Dave. And we got our second episode of Game Geezer. We got a really good episode. Actually, right after this, we're meeting to iron out the details. That'll be Sunday night at 7 p.m. if you want to catch the raw recording of it. And then, of course, we edit it, put up for the official podcast on Mondays.
So much fun.
Mr. Therek, what do you got for us?
Well, the Rewind is back this weekend with me and Desrin. We'll be recapping this stream in more detail, talking at length about what we heard and what we talked about. That's noon on YouTube, on our Pantheon Plus YouTube channel, noon Eastern, for the premiere for that. You can also get it on the podcast places that everybody gets them from. There's that. We're going to have an announcement for a couple things on the show this weekend, so you don't want to miss it. And like I said earlier, we have a video going up tomorrow on our YouTube channel from Essen and Sarah with special guest Ben Rohan talking all about the pulling role in MMOs. So look for that. It's good.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, if you don't know, we are right smack in the dab in the middle of MMO March Madness, where every week we are voting on our favorite Pantheon race class combinations. And we have finished the first round, so now we are down to the Sweet 16. You don't have to have filled out a bracket to vote. In fact, that's what makes it fun, because there were some people that just looked at the brackets and kind of tried to game the system. But some of those people have been burned pretty badly because of the additional people out that didn't fill out brackets that are voting. So we want as many people as possible to vote on their favorite race and class combinations. We do one every day. So just hop in the P Plus Discord, hit the little emoji icon for the vote that you want to do, and see who wins. It's a lot of fun, and we're having a lot of fun with it. Also, next week will be VR. We'll be doing Parting the Veil, and we will follow with P plus U2, and that's going to be Dez and company. So excited to be back. Do it here again next week.
Absolutely.
All right, yeah. We're gonna hit the outro here, and then after that we are gonna raid. Oh, they just logged off. I guess we're going to raid nobody. Sorry, they were on and then they logged off. You missed your opportunity.
They missed it. Surf out.
All right, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.